One of the most critical steps in the house selling process is really what is the right listing price for your home. In today's video, I'm going to be pointing out some things to avoid, some strategies, and hopefully give you a better idea as far as what to actually list your house for. The first thing that I want to dive into when we're talking about the list price of the house, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? That's going to be super important as far as what you're looking at when you're actually comparing it to other houses in the area. If 3 months ago it was a buyer's market and now it's a seller's market, that's going to be a completely different price, even though the house may be exactly the same. And here in Waterford, there's a bunch of houses that basically have the same layout. So knowing what market you're in is important. And then you really want to have a CMA, or a comparative market analysis. That's going to be done by your local realtor. And when I say local, I mean really local. So for me, do they know Waterford Lakes like the back of their hand? Do they know Eastwood? Do they know those areas extremely well? Because here in Waterford, there's 25 different HOAs in Waterford Lakes alone. And each one of those has a different price point. Even if it has the same size house from one house to the other, that neighborhood might be better than that neighborhood, or sells better than that neighborhood. So even the same house is not the same thing. So you do want to make sure when you're dealing with a professional, make sure that they're local and they really know the area. So the CMA's biggest concentration is going to be on sold and pendings. Now, pendings, I say with a grain of salt, because it may be pending for $600, but you have no idea what it's actually under contract for. So a good way of telling if it's pretty close to the price, or it should be pretty close to the price, is that how many days was it on market before it went pending? If it went pending in 2 days, typically they're going to give a full price offer or pretty close to it. Now, if it goes for 30 days or it's been on the market for 97 days, I'm not really depending on that number to give me an idea as far as the current market conditions. But the big one that you should be concentrating on is going to be the sold houses. Those are your comps. So what is a comp? A comp is a comparable home. It's typically within 10% in size. I say typically, it's rule of thumb. It has around the same bedrooms and bathrooms. That can be accounted for. That's not that big of a deal. However, if you can get something that's like exactly the same, that's even better. The location. Are you backed up to a pond and the comparable that you're looking at is backed up to the road? Huge difference there. And the neighborhood itself. Is your neighborhood far superior to the neighborhood that happens to be right next door, which happens all the time? These are things that the local realtor is going to be able to break down for you when we're talking about comps and comparing them to your home. The other thing you want to look at is your competition. That really going back to what is currently on the market right now. Is there a house that seems like it should sell at the price that it's listed for, but it's been sitting there for 60 days? Is your house very similar to that house? And you're thinking that, well, my house is better because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe true. However, the market is telling you a different thing. So it's really important to look at the solds, look at the pendings, really take those into consideration, and then also see what else is out there as far as competition. And this is not just like a one and done deal. This is an ongoing process. I can't tell you how many times I've listed a house in a neighborhood and then another house 2 blocks away in the same neighborhood gets listed and is direct competition with our house. Hopefully we're under their price or better in some way or something like that. But if not, that house is really killing your house price. So it's something that you not only want to be aware of when you're first looking at pricing your house, also be aware that down the road, it could change, and markets change, right? Buyers, sellers market, which we already talked about, interest rates. That's a huge thing right now. All of those things play a crucial role in the condition of the actual marketplace. And make no mistake, if you price your house wrong, the market is going to let you know. And what that means is your house is going to sit. Next, we have to consider the condition or the renovations that have been done in your home. Do you have deferred maintenance, an old roof, an old AC, or have you just recently renovated? These are going to be really important details as far as when you're actually comparing them to other homes. Well, this home has no carpets, it's got completely redone floors, redone kitchen, redone bathrooms, huge backyard, and then you compare it to yours, which maybe has the original kitchen or maybe has original bathrooms, in the part of comparing that to your house. The next thing to think about is the location. We kind of brushed on this earlier before, but location, location, location. There's a reason why that's a mantra in real estate. Is because it's super important. So knowing the location and knowing maybe the schools, again, here in Waterford, super important to be in the good schools, because Waterford Elementary is a great elementary school. You have Discovery and then Timber Creek, solid all the way through. That's really important to people that are moving into this area. So when comparing it to something else that's in a different school, well, that's going to drop the price of their home a little bit. And location, is it buried in the back of a huge subdivision that takes you 12 minutes just to get to the front of the subdivision? That makes a difference to people. The other thing we brushed on before was also the lot itself. Is it backed up to a road? Is it backed up to a pond? Conservation or something that would be appealing to a buyer or be a real turnoff to a buyer. So the location and type of lot are really going to play a huge role again when you're comparing the prices. When we're talking about comparables, we really talk about hopefully you could find something within the last 3 to 6 months. Now that time period is really important because that will help get you the best idea for that current market. However, markets can definitely change at the drop of a hat. Interest rates go up, market changes. School ends, market changes. Now, school begins, market changes. Those kind of things are definitely going to change the price of the comparable to when you're comparing it to your house. For here in Central Florida, from really the beginning of middle of March all the way through the beginning of August is the hot time to sell or buy here in this area. And the reason for that is because this is a really school-based area. People come here for the schools so that when they want to move, they want to make sure that their kid isn't being displaced for 6 months or 4 months or something like that. They want to make sure that they can move in and then have enough time to register their kid for school. I take my vacations in late August. The reason for that is because the market is way slower. So timing is also going to play a part in your pricing. The last strategy really is to bracket price it. And what I mean by that is most people search homes within a $25,000 or a $50,000 bracket. So in other words, I'm looking for a $325,000 or a $350,000. Not many people are saying, well, my budget is $337,000. You don't even have those options on Zillow and on the MLS really. I mean, you can type it in, but typically when you get to that scroll bar down, when you get to that tab and you click on it, it's usually within $25,000 or $50,000 markers. So that's really important. The idea of I'm gonna sell it for $399,000. I think that's a huge mistake because really some people might have their limit at $4,000. And what's the difference between $399,000 and $4,000? I know some people say, well, that's a psychological difference, but ask yourself this, when you see $399,000, what do you think? That's $400,000. And just like we talked before, you gotta be flexible. The market is going to communicate with you. If you don't have a lot of offers, if you don't have a lot of people walking through your house and it just kind of sits there, that's the market saying, you need to do better. That's the market saying, your price is off. That's really all it is. Now take that with a grain of salt. If you listed it for 3 days and you don't have a lot of activity, let's calm down. I'm talking about a couple weeks out and you see, man, I'm not getting any activity. Or you see another house that goes for sale that's better than your house, or let's even say the same, but is at a cheaper price. Those are the things that are gonna make you be a little bit flexible on price. And sometimes if you could flex on the price, that's what's gonna get the deal done. Now that you know the listing strategies on pricing of the house, take a look at this video. It'll tell you about 5 tips to avoid when you actually put your house on the market up for sale. Thanks a lot.